Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Matt Belair podcast. Today's guest is a London-based mom of five, a business coach, and owns an events company. She left school at 15 to study art and photography, and later on shiatsu, natural healing, and is a qualified reflexologist. She then went on to be a successful event organizer and is the woman behind the Chocolate Festival in the UK. Now she is a business coach helping entrepreneurs from everything from mindset, marketing, and business strategy. Welcome to the show, Yael Rose.
Thank you. Nice intro.
Yeah, thanks. It's a little bit shorter than the one that you had. Can you just tell us a little bit about your background? Because I found it, when I read through it, I thought it was so just unique and interesting. So maybe you want to share that with us to begin.
Yeah, sure. So, first of all, thank you for having me here. Such a pleasure. I love your podcasts, and hopefully we'll create a nice one together. So I grew up in a kibbutz, which is something that many people don't know what it is, but it's basically, it was a community based on the principles of socialism. So everybody's equal. There was no such thing as money. We all worked in the kibbutz and we contributed, and then we got everything free. So rent free, you get a house, you get food, you get everything for free. And when I was 2 years old, I moved with my parents to Argentina and Uruguay for about 4 years, and then came back to the kibbutz, and I came with a completely different mindset where I went out and saw the world. Coming back to a really small community, small place, sometimes small-minded people was very challenging for me. And then, I didn't really fit in. I hated school. I have to say it really low because I don't want my kids to hear, because, obviously I loved school. But, they don't know this. I hated school. I hated the homework. I had the worst teachers in the world. I think most entrepreneurs don't really fit in, but it's even worse when you're a real individual and your teachers just don't get you. And, I knew I was intelligent. They knew I was intelligent, but I just didn't fit in. And then that's why I left school at 15 and went to study art. Basically just, photography and drawing and things like that. I wasn't particularly good at it. I was good at photography, so I went on to study more of that. But yeah, I just didn't want to be, when the sun was shining, I found it really hard to be in a classroom. So, went on to study art, and then I had to go to the army, which again, a really restricted kind of system, and I took it really seriously. A lot of people love the army, but I had a very privileged position where I was in the headquarters of one of the highest ranked generals, and so we had our own kitchen. I actually slept in one of the general's hotel because he didn't use his hotel room. So that's really unheard of, and still I hated it because I took it so seriously, like I'm just a number and they're telling me what to wear and put my hair together, and I just completely took it in a bad way. So I left that early as well, and and that's when I went to study the shiatsu and all of that, and ended up becoming a reflexologist, which I also didn't practice in the end, but it all adds to my wealth of richness of character, I guess.
That's amazing. Oh, that's oh my God. What a contrast, so when you grew up in that community, that's something that I've been really actually involved with recently, is the concept of, socialism. So, a lot of socialism has been done wrong, but how about just taking care of one another? When you grew up in that environment, do you feel like it was done well? Do you think that it was a good environment for a kid to grow up in that scenario? Because I know that there's positives and negatives, and I think that there's going to be a balance between the two, where we've got one side of, let's say, traditional society, which very heavy consumerism and take what you can get and pillage the earth, and but this really, the concept that really bothers me about that is it's not taking care of your neighbor. It's not being concerned with his well-being. But on the flip side, you really have that mentality. But I'm sure that there are challenges to, living in that environment as well.
Hey, listen, I always say that it was an experiment. The experiment didn't work. And there's a number of reasons why it didn't work. I mean, firstly, people always want more. And that desire for expansion is actually part of the human spirit, right? And when you bring socialism and everything has to be on the same level, it's normally the lowest level possible. It wasn't, well, no, I say that nobody was poor, but you only got what you needed. And yet we know these days that for expansion to happen, we have desires, and some people are very happy with just what they need, and some people are not. So that's where one of the reasons things started to go wrong, where people wanted their own car. So they don't have to go to someone and ask, hey, can I have a car tonight? Because there's only 10 cars for like 300 people. And I want to go out, but I don't know if I can because maybe they won't allocate one of them to me. So the freedom really of the individual wasn't there. And that's just like one example. If you wanted to go and study, then a committee has to decide that you are qualified to study. And freedom is one of my core values, and so that's one of the reasons it didn't sit well with me. But another big factor was that children were separated from their parents. So when I came back to the kibbutz, that's what I struggled with. And it bothered me so much that I did a kind of an essay about it when I finished school. So they had children's houses, and from when you're a baby, you don't sleep in your parents' house. You sleep either in the baby house or the kid's house, and there's one or two people with an intercom. So basically all the kids are like in a house by themselves. So there's a house for the 3-year-olds, there's a house for the 5 to 6 year, etc. Right? So I used to escape at night going to my mom's house because it's so unnatural. So and then eating wasn't like a family experience. It was something that you go to the dining room. It's like one huge restaurant, and it's just, I feel that was very unnatural, and that was one of the the first things that made the kibbutzes collapse, was when some moms started saying, I want my kid with me. And that's what started, I think, the cracks started to show. And the other one was when people wanted more things, and they started, so like you hear, oh, so and so has a VHR, and that was like, blasphemy, like you've got something that I don't. And because some people obviously had resources from somewhere else. So yeah, those are the things that I think started the crack. So yeah, you're saying about materialism and all of that. I don't see it that way. I see that if you desire to have things and you're going to use them for your expansion, that's not materialism. That's just your spirit calling for bigger things.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I love what you said. That was interesting because I got a deepening of understanding when expansion and just being a human being, and that's it. That's definitely a core fundamental of our species, is the ability to expand and real genuine freedom. So there's definitely things I didn't know, like, yeah, it's super unnatural to keep your mom away from a kid. So I think that, yeah, you take these little experiments, because I'm friends with somebody who I'm going to be interviewing later, Rob Jameson, who is an amazing human being, and he's kind of one of the head honchos at Arco Santi. And this is a sustainable community in Phoenix, and it's super neat. And he kind of, goes through, his challenges as well. So I think it needs to be, less restriction, obviously. Imposing ideas is always a challenge, right? And then how can we take some of those core fundamentals of where we stick together and then allow for expansion at the same time? Not about taking, so that's an interesting one. So, and then you go to the military? Like,
yeah, in Israel we have to do that.
That's intense.
I did try to get out, but my dad made me go. So it's kind of like you have to, but there are ways around it, which eventually
right.
I used. But yeah, it's not fun. It wasn't for me, but as I say, I'm just that kind of person that doesn't really like to be told what to do.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're definitely the same in that. Yeah. The freedom and expansion is, pretty much my number one. So if I'm not getting that, I'm kind of like shooting everything away. And it's interesting you talk about school. I think that it's very common for most people. Like, I think we really need an upgrade in our education system. Like my whole school experience, I was like, none of this I'm really interested in. Like, now I can look back and see, okay, some of it was value, like reading, writing, and basic arithmetic. Like, you should know that. How come they're not teaching me about meditation? How come they're not using right and left brain? How come they're not teaching me to think? And that's, I actually remember when I was done high school, I started to go to the library and I was playing poker, and I wanted to beat my friends at poker. So I started to read, like, oh yeah, I can read a poker book. So I started to read that book, and I was like, the library is the best. But now I had time to read stuff that I was interested in. So, one of the books that I read right away was Teach Yourself to Think. And I wrote in my journal, I have to unlearn everything that I've learned, because it's a system of more conditioning, I think, than expansion. And so, it's so interesting too, because my generation and a generation 10 years, younger than me, and then 10 years younger than that, they're all changing, and we're adapting so fast. We've, like Pokemon has just taken over the world, and I see these kids, there's like a Pokemon stop, and I have to figure out exactly what that is. But
I hate Pokemon. I hate it.
Yeah, right. It's got like all these things, and it's happening so fast because of the technology. Like my parents, color TV was like the craziest thing for them, and then I get Nintendo, and then now a kid, if he looks at Nintendo, he's just like, what is this piece of crap? He doesn't. So, I think that the human species is definitely due for an upgrade. And the more that we can kind of get back to the, let's say, core nature of ourselves, and combining the right brain and left brain, the intuitive and the logical, to build something that's worth it, but not be, some of the hippie side. And I'm definitely guilty of this. It's just like, I want to check out. Like, this is so messed up. It took a lot of courage and strength and will to be like, I got to play this game. Like, I'm here, but I can see how messed up the game is, and none of me wants to play it. But if we can play it well, and combine those things, and then on top of this, you've got, how many kids do you say? 5 kids?
4? I have 5, yeah.
Oh my God. And so
here's the thing. Here's my take on what you said, right? When I was in school and really bored to death, I'm like you, and that's why I really have to be careful. I don't want my kids to say that, because they're in a good school, and I know when I go to parents' evening, the sort of things that the teachers say to me, I'm like, wow, these teachers get it. So I'm really happy for that. But when I was in school and, kids were doing my GCSEs, what I didn't do, most of the things there, you don't really need. It's true. Why do I need to know, like, when this war happened and that war happened? And when I went to high school, it was before internet, but I had this thought. I thought, when I come out of here, if I'm really interested in something, I'm going to go ahead and study it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to be interested in it, so I'll do much better at studying it. And look now, with a click of a button, Google tells me anything I need to know about anything. So why did I need to, go through all this trauma and studying it? And it's true, in a way, schools are designed to program people to fit into society. And, and governments definitely design societies in a way that is convenient for them to control people. Yes, that is correct. And, a big thing as well that they don't teach in school is how to handle money, which is one of the biggest things that you're gonna have to deal with in life, and certainly like occupies most of our time as adults. So yeah, I mean, in terms of checking out as a hippie, I'm a freak, because I'm a hippie. Like, put me on the beach barefoot, stars, sand, I'm happy. Take away all my electronics, no watch, I'm happy. I'll watch the, when the sun is up in the middle, that's 12 o'clock, and then it starts to go down after that. Or put me in a 5-star hotel or restaurant with the best service and let me buy clothes and everything, I'm happy too. So I'm a bit of both. And at the same time, I think there's something really, really important that you and I have, is, and why we have to be in this society is because most people are in the matrix, and I think you know what I mean by that, right? So they're in the matrix and they don't even know it. And we are free and we know. So our job is to be inside this matrix and let our light shine so that people can look and say, hey, they're free. I can be free, right? That's the way, that's what I see one of my biggest jobs on this planet, because obviously for so long, you know, you don't fit in and you don't know why did I come here? What am I doing here? Maybe I should go and live near the river in a tent, right? So then no white letters come from my letterbox and I don't need to answer any emails, but no, that's not helping anybody. So you have to, unfortunately, I think, not have to, but you know, I think it's our privilege to stay here and let our light shine.
Oh, yeah. Well, I love the word that you use at the end, our privilege. It's so cool. Because, yeah, I feel the exact same way. I didn't really realize that I was different until, like, when the transition came to college, when I was, like, just trying to explain to my friends who were all amazing and I love them. But I was like, nobody's seeing this. Nobody else is seeing this. You just want to sign up? That's bullshit. Like, okay. It's like, but they've done, so many of them have done so well, you know, on kind of going down the traditional path. So, you know, obviously my path is mine, but it was just really then I clicked that I was like, oh, I'm going to basically be doing something that is against the norm. You know, I thought my buddies would be like, yeah, let's figure out how to snowboard and live an amazing life. But their version of an amazing life was just different. So that's when I really realized that I was different. And I love that you have been doing a lot of work on helping people. You just ran a women's conference. What was the name of that again?
$1 Million Woman.
Yeah, and what's the intention behind that?
So that was, you know, the reason why I don't only coach women, I also have male clients, but the reason why I feel women need help is, well, you know, there are things from generations that we've overcome, but still they're in our consciousness or subconscious. And you see that, for example, with the pay gap, where, you know, women get paid less than men in the same jobs. And, you know, it's so easy to kind of go into that drive of, oh, you know, it's been done to us, like all this injustice. But I don't believe in that. I think it's so much to do with the mindset and what you believe and what you ask for. So I feel for many reasons that women need a bit more of a helping hand, and that was the idea behind $1 Million Woman. And it was a good experiment, and for me, it didn't work the way I wanted it to work, but it's still a great community that's now growing organically, and I'm doing things locally as well with women. So it was fun.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, I know that with a lot of conferences, I'm friends with some people doing a You Will Change the World conference in Las Vegas. And they've been in this space for a long time. A lot of them are close, you know, have been trained under Tony Robbins, have been in that circle and understand the conference and self-development. And it's kind of similar with the concert is you start and you get the ball rolling, but most people don't have the courage to start. And I think that's one of the things, you know, that you do is you have this idea, but you have this ability to execute, because from thought to execution is a massive gap, you know, especially running a conference. I can't, you know, you've got thousands of little tiny details to make it happen, and you have to have that will to go all the way through. So I definitely commend you for that. And you know, the women thing I find interesting, because I remember going to a conference and I was sitting there and I was beside a woman friend of mine, and this girl comes up and she's basically saying, you know, women's rights and just saying like, you know, this is what's going on. And, you know, like in the sense of like blaming it on men and just from an unempowered state, you know, and like, I'm listening and it's like over and over and over. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like, I was just talking to my woman friend. I was like, am I a dick? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I really don't resonate with this at all. Like, I feel like, yeah, you know, there are probably systems and you might get paid more, and there might be a direct circumstance in your life where, you know, a man comes over. But what I really feel beyond that is your own empowerment. So one woman might go through an experience where she over and over and over again has male, I don't know, like just dominance or, preference, and she feels really unempowered. But I think that what's beyond that is for her to realize that same woman can go, oh, I'm done with that. What is it that I want to create in my life? Not saying that it's this thing outside of me that's allowing me to be wherever I am. Because the second you put something outside of you that controls you and dictates your life, you become a victim and not a creator. And I believe that we're all creators, men and women, and maybe women have a few more obstacles that, men don't have to deal with, or me being, a white North American male, like I guess I've won the lottery on the gene pool of world shenanigans, or maybe I haven't, I don't know, but I'm not going to let that define me. And I know that people from any different area, once they kind of re-empower themselves, and it might be more challenging, but their challenge becomes their strength when they go through it. And
and you touched on it, the exact thing, victim. Like there's so many ways that you can be a victim, and you choose to be a victim, right? Because that's another thing I never understood. Why I know people who are in jobs they hate for 10 years and they just stay there and moan. I never believed in that. If you're not happy, why don't you move? But people, they like think they're in a prison, or they're scared. And fear is a really funny thing, because I've probably had, I think the reason why I'm brave, because I often think about it, people, women often say, wow, you're amazing. How do you do it? And it's true, I just go ahead and do things, and I don't necessarily have that fear that most people have, like, what if I fail, and what if it doesn't work, and whatever. I don't really think about it, and then I kind of think about it after, if it happens. But I much rather say, oh, I wish I didn't, than say I should have, I wish I did. So, so many things that people really fears already happened to me. Right? I've been in massive amounts of debt. I had to sell stuff to survive. I had to, close companies. I failed more times than I care to remember, and I'm still here to tell the story. Right? So, this thing called life, it's a game. If you're just going to live it in a way that you're always trying not to, like, do something that might go wrong, then you're going to have a really boring life. And it's for some people, it's not for me.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, what I came up with, I think it was a few weeks ago, I had just a little bit of an insight, and I was like, oh man, I think that most people make their choices in their life based on the least amount of risk and not the most amount of love. And so in doing that, what that really means is that you're living in fear. You're basing your choices on fear. Now, because I don't have any kids, way less fear, right? Because I don't have mouths to feed. So I can see the security. I totally get that. But then as a person, you're not having faith in yourself. You're not having faith in the universe. And you have done it and you failed, and that's the story of pretty much every entrepreneur, every single athlete, something that I know in my core from skateboarding, because skateboarding is only failure. And you look at somebody who puts a great skateboard part together, and like, that trick took like 200 tries. That one took, 68 tries. It's, you just keep failing, but you're pursuing, what's calling to you. And I think that really has value. And that is the stuff that helps you grow, because that that's where you want it to go. Then you had the courage to go there. And then even if you fail, quote unquote, you learn all of this stuff and you grow. Like, what is failure? Like, it's not, doesn't even really exist. It's just an experience, right? But we're labeling positive and negative in the world of duality, when really it could be the greatest thing ever.
But it's also really important to tell your listeners, sorry, I'm going to move, to tell your listeners that the ones that are listening or watching and thinking, yeah, but I don't have that kind of courage, is, really look at, so when you see the skateboarder, that 1 minute that he succeeded, so often we don't think about the 200, 300,000 times that they failed. So, really don't judge your own, don't compare your back of scene, or how do you say, back of the stage, with someone else's front window.
Beautiful. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, everybody's got everybody's going through struggles, and everyone goes through these things. So it's just, there's a thing now with, obviously, with social media, the way we present ourselves and the way we put things out there, that, sometimes I know women get really scared to be visible and put themselves out there, because they think everybody else, those annoying people that life's always good for them, they're always on a beach with a laptop. They don't really exist. Like, they got up and cried into the pillow last night, and then they got up and think, let me take a picture of myself on the beach with a laptop. No, that's just joking. I mean, they do exist, and that life does exist. But, don't think that someone is just having it good and you are, no good because you, at the moment, are going through whatever it is you're going through. Yeah, so keeping going is probably the most important thing if you want to achieve anything in life, more than knowledge and experience and contacts and money. That's probably the one thing, if I had to give one advice to someone, is just don't give up.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point about the beach, because my Instagram is kind of one of those things, like my life is kind of one of those things. But somebody wrote to me on Instagram, is like, you have like the luckiest life, and I was like, you have no idea how hard this is. Like and just the choices that I make are ridiculous. Like, nobody would make these choices, you know what I mean? Like, I'm in Europe, and rather than, like, I can make money in marketing, like, I'm a really good marketer, but I don't care if I'm doing marketing. I'm not working on Zen Athlete. I'm not meditating, which to me, I don't need to acquire. I'd rather have more time in meditation. Now, I do, having tons of money would be nice, but I'm not willing to sacrifice my own self-development for $1. So I'm meditating, I'm doing what I want, and I just have enough. So rather than getting a job, I just get a big loan. And I basically chew through that whole thing, and I helped create evolveonline.co with two brothers, two amazing brothers. And they're doing amazing work. And that was, something that I got to be a small part of. And now I'm watching them grow and kick butt. And had I pursued something else, then I wouldn't be involved in something that I'm looking at grow. And I'm like, oh my God, like, these guys are kicking ass. And I got 2 new friends, and it's just amazing. So when people are like, oh yeah, this is easy, it's like, nah, like, are you willing to go 27 grand in debt and not even worry about another jet? Like, I probably, honestly, am doing it terribly. I think that anybody else with just a touch more rationale would just do it so much better. But as, like, I don't know, I'm just doing it how I can. And then I get back and I find out about this project called Delphi Village. And this is something they want to build, a permanent Burning Man. They want to have like an event space, and it's built on sustainability, eco, permaculture. And I meet the guy, and I'm driving across Canada, and he's like, well, if you want to come down and check it out, you can. And I got like a few $1,000 left of my loan. It's a stupid choice. And I was like, I have to go down. I just know that I have to meet these people. I have to go down. So I drive down, I explode the rest of my loan. It's all gone. And it's so great. And then my car breaks down, and I'm like, oh shit. But I was like, okay, like, I knew I was supposed to come, and I met just the most amazing people. Oh my God. Like, for me going down, the people that I have worth everything. I finally get my car back to Canada, and it breaks down on the way. And I basically do, like, I have a piece fixed, and my car's a Volkswagen Touareg, and it's like expensive. So all the car parts are super expensive, right? And I shouldn't be having this. The only reason I have this is because when I worked in cars, I got a really good deal on it. So, but everything in a luxury car is more expensive. So I got fixed. I'm driving. I'm 8 hours on 3 days. It just gives me this crazy warning sign. I pull over to the side of the road. I'm nowhere with all of my life in my car. And I'm like, oh crap. And I was like, if this doesn't start, I can't afford to fix it because the loan is now gone. I'm just going to leave the car here. Right. And then I got all my crap in my bag. So I got to figure out the closest airport. And I'm just sitting in my car, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to shut it off. I'm going to do the Nintendo reset and hope that's good. And just off, on. And the whole way back, I'm just like, just just get me home. Like if I could get back just all of my crap, like all of my stuff just back, I can reset from there. I get back to Canada, to Cambridge, where I grew up, and I get the first paycheck from a social media company that's conscious. They're Immortal, so immortal.com, and they're coming out soon. They're conscious. They're creating like a super tea and a super coffee that's amazing. All natural ingredients, all great stuff. And it's just like, I had like 27, like I can't get any more money out. And then boom, 1,000. And I was like, okay, like I need a bit more money. And then boom, that guy, I do a great job for him. He hooks me up with someone else. I get another contract and boom. So now I have enough money. It's worked out. I've met lifelong friends and connections. I went down to speak in LA, and this was all from basically, people see that I'm here and doing these things, but they have no idea, what I mean? No one's going to make that choice. If I would have chosen fear and just got my butt home, I wouldn't have made these connections that I know that are going to be there for a lifetime. So that's the point of that long-winded story. But, to go on saying it's not easy, it's consistent choice towards what that you should do, disregarding, maybe logic and reason. So I don't know, maybe you could probably do it with a lot better balance than I do, but that's how it's done.
No, I don't think so. I've learned a lot. Going into debt have taught me that I've been in debt mentality all my life. And I didn't know that. So it's certainly something that I'm working on big time, and it's transforming, and it's very liberating to transform that. And the story you told is beautiful because it just shows how we need to listen to our intuition. So yeah, that's a big thing, that sometimes you have to trust your own gut. And and again, it's something that, we are conditioned in society to like shut it up. No, listen just to the mind. You have to finish high school, go to college, go to uni, have a wife and 3 kids and a dog, right? In a house in the suburbs. And so you kind of shut up that small, still voice inside of you, which is completely connected to source, right? In the Bible, it talks, one of the prophets, I think, is in a cave, and he hears the small, still voice, and that was God speaking to him. So if you're in the rut of life, you're not going to hear it. So, and when you do hear it, in spite of what circumstances look like, if you follow it, then normally things are going to be all right. And miracles and amazing things will unfold in your life.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree with that. And that's where they are. That's where they happen. That's where they've always happened for me. The things that are, when someone says, Belair, you are the luckiest guy I know. It's when it's like jumping all in. Like you can't have your toe, on the edge. And like, if you're jumping across, like you can't. It's every time I go all in, and then I'm like, yeah, I went all in. And then it's like, no, you got to do it again. And this time it's like even more frightening. I'm like, oh my God, it's like 50-foot cliff, 100-foot cliff, 200. It's like, just, there's, where the hell is the easier route? But that's it. And that is literally where the miracles happen, because that's what we're connected to. And I love your expression of video game, because that's, for me, that's exactly how I reference it to people. We are in the most amazing real video game. It's just a game. And when I spoke in Vegas, what I talked about was I definitely believe that we can create anything. Anybody can create anything. But the point isn't the thing that you're going to create. So let's say it's in sport. It's not about me landing a double backflip or a triple backflip or whatever trick, because once you get it, it just continues to expand, right? So it's not about your business or about getting $1 million or about getting a car. To me, it's about giving yourself a worthwhile journey and aim. So that's the thing that helps you grow. So if you're building, because it never ends, it can't. But if you're a direction and a space that comes from you, then you're going to be super stoked on what you built, rather than building something that you think is supposed to be amazing, and you build it all up and then you die and you're like, oh man, like I didn't give a crap about any of that. I really, right? And that's where it's led in the mind. And one of the things I want to ask you, like, I know you do a lot of coaching with a lot of different people. And we were talking a little bit before, you're starting to see some common traits, some common things.
Yeah, because originally we was going to talk about productivity, and I do have some tips. But what I find recently, a lot of people say they lost their mojo, lost their motivation, and I find that kind of sometimes a disguise to maybe they're not exactly in their passion. So when you're doing anything that isn't what you know, so many times I'm like asking, so what would you do if money was no object and you tomorrow you can wake up and make the salary you desire, the level of income you desire from anything in the world. This is fantasy land where unicorns like run on the meadow around you and stuff, right?
Love it.
And people come up with the craziest stuff. Like, you know, most times they don't say what I'm doing now. They say, oh, I would do that and I would do that. And seriously, that's what you should do, because also your money is in your passion. I believe that 100%. The money and of course the fulfillment and, you know, life, happiness, everything is in your passion. So when they say, oh, I lost my motivation, the first thing I check is actually, do you even like what you're doing? Do you even love it? And sometimes it's that they're dreaming too small. So they're doing this, but really the dream is so much bigger and that's not in alignment and that's bringing them down, or the thinking too big instead of chunking things down, and that drains them because it's like so overwhelming, all these things that they have to do. So you know, so there's a lot of things that, you know, when you say, oh, productivity, you know, I feel like I can't get out of bed or don't have, you know, I don't do enough in a day, there's so many reasons. It's not just because you don't know how to manage your time. There's that as well, and I certainly teach that if someone needs it. But first of all, check, you know, the core things. Are you actually doing what you want to be doing? Because if you really, you know, we all have bad days, but if day after day after day you can't get out of bed and you don't feel like doing whatever it is you're doing, something needs to change. If you're gonna stay like that, then I don't know. I know that it happens that sometimes, you know, you make yourself get out of bed and go to work. But really, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to do it because you want to be your own boss, you want to be free, you want to do things you love, then do that. Do that.
Yeah, I think that's so important. It's getting to the root cause, right? Just like in medicine, when you're treating the symptoms, you know, it's like, I'm going to get lipo surgery, but maybe you should stop eating fried chicken every single day, right? There's a, you know, you can do that, but it's a choice. So, but it's the real root, right? And that's where the individual challenge comes in. And I guess what I would say, you know, how would you go for a person, you know, like if it's a friend of mine, and I think big, that's something that I am always doing, and that's easy. Where it's hard is the chunking down. So that's where I, you know, as a skill set, you kind of have one or the other. And also, you know, having the responsibility of having a family, right? That's going to be their main concern. So they're going to say, okay, well, my love and passion for what I want to do does not supersede my love and need to feed my kids. Do you have, you know, any kind of suggestion or way where they might be able to bridge that gap, like start to make the transition? Because I don't think that it needs to be mutually exclusive. I think that you can bridge that gap in a very practical and pragmatic way.
Yeah, and also, you know, I don't know, I've never found that, you know, when you have children that, I don't know, if you're an entrepreneur and you know, one of the main things about having a business is knowing how to make more money. So how to generate an income. And yes, of course you have to meet that. So there are periods of transition and there are jobs that you will take that you love less, but you'll take them to feed the kids. Yes, 100%. And at the same time, you know, but that goes into another area where it's self-value. So, you know, for example, I'm doing some jobs today that I'm completely lit up by doing them because of the amount of money that I get paid. Where 2 years ago, I would have got zero or half of the money. So I've learned my self-worth. And, I always say in life, you're only going to get paid what you think you're worth, what you believe you're worth, and what you dare to ask for. So when you know that you're doing a great service and you can do this thing that's maybe a little bit more boring, but you can get great money for it, and because it's, your zone of genius, you do it like in no time, then so you have to find like what you're good at, and look at your skill set, and look how you can make money in ways that you don't suffer. And I really truly believe that it's possible for everyone, that everyone has those things, but sometimes you do need, that's why business coaches exist, because you do need like a how do you say, a non-biased eye to look at it and look at your life and suggest things to you. So it's not, and the chunking it down, not everybody has that in them again. So some people will need the coaching, and the coach to say, right, this is where you want to get to, so these are the steps, and these are the mini steps to each step, and then they go ahead and do it. So I don't know if there's a tip on how to learn to chunk things down, but it's just sitting and thinking, right, so if I have this goal, what are the actual action steps that need to happen, and then taking each one of them, and then what is the first thing that needs to happen, what is the second, so that's the chunking down. It's really not that difficult, but I don't know if some people struggle with it more than others.
Well, probably me, but I think like you brought up a couple of points that made me think. It's just the value of a coach. I have probably 2 or 3 coaches, friends, right? So I'll have a skill set, and that's what masterminds are for. People don't really know social media marketing. I know copywriting and persuasion and branding and all that kind of stuff, and it's just easy for me. So I'm like, hey, let me look at that, and I sit and I can just make it badass really quick, and then give them a wicked social media strategy. And then I'm like, how the hell do I like plan my day? They're like, okay, get like Calendly, like this is how you structure it, do it for, or it's with website stuff, right? So I think that, the coaching aspect is so undervalued, where especially within the male culture, and teaching athletes, the males, like they're less likely to want to coach because they're admitting, I think it has something to do with them admitting their inadequacy or something, where I am all about coaches all the time. The difference between me and most is like, I want your productivity coaching. I want, your 2 cents on my business. I want every single person who's a coach to have a conversation with me, try to share with me where my blind spots are, because I can't see them. Right. And then that allows me to grow in this open, amazing communication. And you're just getting another mirror. Everybody is just a mirror of ourselves. So when you open yourself up to learning, that's how real growth happens, where most people are so hesitant, like, no, I don't need that. And then they don't even, get one, so I think there's just massive value in that.
Well, first of all, in sports, I mean, that's pretty easy, because any great athlete, they all have coaches, and sometimes more than one.
Yep.
Nobody really has achieved anything great in athletics or sports or whatever without having a coach.
I know.
And the first thing they do when I don't know, someone loses a football match is they sack the coach. Because it's fun. Begins and ends with them. In terms of the value, I really believe that more and more people do see the value and want to invest in themselves. And there is a pride in investing in someone that can make you better. I think more and more you see that, especially in the US, and it's starting in the UK, but there's more, the value is placed. But again, it starts from how you value yourself and how great do you believe that you are, and that's what people want, really.
Yeah, definitely. That's the beginning of everything, right? Change the inner and change the outer. So once you change the inner, everything else is detail, is figuring out productivity, how you're going to build your website, how you're going to do this. But without the right mindset, the right intention, the right emotion, the right self-belief, none of that is possible. So just for my own sake, because I'm very curious about this, and I want to ask, like, do you have like 3 to 5 like good productivity tips. Like, I'm getting better at it, but I still suck. If I had one kid, I wouldn't get anything done. Like, do you have like some common ones that people, if they get their idea, they want to increase their productivity game? This is mostly for me selfishly, but I'm sure anyone who wants to be more productive, like I am.
Yeah. Well, you completely. First of all, I built my business while growing my family. So I am, I know where to shift my focus, right? I've had seriously closed very, very important deals while changing someone's nappy, or, going like, to my kids, so nobody knows they're like running all around me, and giving them biscuits so there's no noise, so the client doesn't hear the kids.
Right.
So, it's totally your choice what you focus on. You must understand that it's your choice. Like, if you want to be distracted and think about 100 things, even, and recently I've had some real challenges in my personal life, my private life, and my own coach that I've coached with for a year died very suddenly, and all these things really challenged me. But at the same time, when I sit down to work, I have the choice what I'm focusing on. I have the choice if I'm focusing on this task or I'm letting my mind drift in 100 directions, right? So it's just having that really strong mentality that, no, this is my work and I want to get it done. And when I finish this task, I'm going to go and cry to my pillow, right? I have the choice. And that's what people say, oh, but how can you be so strong? Because I choose to be strong. I choose not to. And that's, again, going back to the victim thing. So, what kind of, are you the person that lets things get you down or not? And it's your choice, because you decide what goes into your head. But let me give you some, like, I divided it into spiritual and physical and mental. So I'll give you a few tips and let's see if that helps. So, with the spiritual and mental, first thing is that, do you love what you do? And I know you do. So that's cool. So that shouldn't be an issue. Second is people you hang out with. These are not by order of importance, but who do you hang out with? Like, we all have those people who completely drain our energy, and we know who they are. You finish talking with them and you're completely bummed. You don't feel like doing anything. And then you have those people that you finish talking with them and you're like fired up, and you often have a really great week. Those are the people you want to surround yourself with. And unfortunately, sometimes the other kind are your family or friends that you've had for many years, and you do have to like whittle them down and maybe talk to them once a month or once in 6 months if you realize that that's what the effect they have on you. So having the mental space and distraction, so that's the thing with the focus and not letting really those thoughts come in, and having that mental strength to know how to control your mind. I know that sounds spooky. The other thing is no excuses, which I'm sure you don't do, but really notice when you're making excuses for yourself. So I'll give an analogy. I wanted to lose a stone in weight. That was the last stone I had to lose after putting on 4 stone when I was pregnant. And I had all the excuses in the world. Like, I don't like walking in my local area. I don't have time to cook healthy meals. 100,000 things, right? And then when I really decided I wanted to do it, nothing was an excuse. I found all the shortcuts to eat healthy meals. I exercise at home with YouTube, whatever, but I'm going to get to that goal. So no excuses. Stay in high vibe. So those are all the spiritual mental things, because when you want to be productive, you need to be in a certain, mental state. So you need to be in high vibration. And if you need to meditate, whatever makes you happy, if you need to go for a run, I don't know, go and have a manicure, pedicure if you're women, or go shop, or whatever it is that you need to do in the morning or whenever, just do those things. Make sure you don't cut all the fun out of your life, because then, life will be draining and you won't have no energy to do anything. Reading daily is another thing that I wrote there, because it keeps me really motivated, when I'm reading good books, personal development or wealth consciousness books. Then there's the physical aspect that you know really well. You must sleep. You must sleep. You must get your, I think it's 7 to 8 hours for men and 8 to 9 hours for women. The minute I didn't get enough sleep, apart from the fact that really I'm the grumpiest mom and wife around, like just you don't want to be near me. I can't think properly, so of course I'm not going to be productive because I'm not even like in my head. I want to sleep. You know, nutrition, again, eating a really good breakfast. You know, the amount of times I try to do good work when I didn't really eat well, it can take me so far, and then I get a headache, and then everything goes tits up. And then, you know, exercising and fresh air, so whatever exercise you love doing, completely gives you so much energy and focus. So once all of that sorted, these probably are the advice that you wanted. Do we still have time for a few more tips? Okay, so this is like what I call, you're loving it, cool, the logistical stuff. Okay, so first of all, have 3 to 5 doable tasks a day. Forget that long to-do list. You can have that, you can write that down so it doesn't bother you, and you go back to it and check what's urgent, what's not. But every day, really focus, what are the 3, if it has to be 4 or 5, but mostly 3 most important things that I have to accomplish today. And then you go off doing them, but you stay off the distractions. So you close all the other tabs, you turn your phone off, you don't have that phone conversation that's not really urgent and important in the middle of the day that's going to distract you. Make sure you accomplish those things. You know, the science of getting rich says that if every day you have a little success and another little success and another little success, it's inevitable that you're going to have the big success you're looking for. And this is one that I love. It's from Brendon Burchard. Stay the hell out of your inbox. Your inbox is a really good organizing system for other people's agendas. I used to live in my inbox and I hated it. It's like you are like just responding to other people's needs and wants. And then you come to the end of the day and, you know, you like had this chicken and you didn't even do what you're supposed to do. So he suggests you go into your inbox, you see if that person that you wanted an answer from responded. If they didn't, you email them and say, hey, where's my stuff? And then you get out, right? You don't get stuck there until you done all your tasks. Then you can go back and check what the world wants from you. Delegate what you hate. Stay in your zone of genius. Don't spend like hours and hours in boring admin and accounts, and that really drains your energy down. And of course you don't want to get up in the morning and go and do what your VA is supposed to be doing, because you're a business owner and you have stuff that you're amazing at. That's what you should be doing. Maximizing that time is when you travel on the bus, on the train, I travel in cabs, so it's easier for me. I'm always on the phone. I'm always doing emails and stuff like that. And the last one is be off when you're off. So don't do that halfway thing when you're like, let me do this, let me do that. If you're off, give yourself the time to really switch everything. Get away from your phone if you can and stuff like that. And just be in that fun time. Whatever it is that it is for you, I don't know what it is, but yeah, don't be halfway off. So then you're rejuvenated, and then the next day, or weekends again, some people really take pride in working weekends, and sometimes I do. But when I'm really able to take at least one of those days and do a phone detox, social media detox, and completely just be present for my kids, the week looks completely different for me. So that's the little bit that I've got for you today.
Wow. I wouldn't say that's a little bit. That was so good and so concise, like that, because I read a lot and I listen to a lot of podcasts and go through business books, and I've read stuff. You just did like a concise, from like a productivity book, business book, it's not like, the thing is, it's not really complicated stuff, and that's what you're sharing, but it's doing those things, right? It's the easiest way for me to explain it is always through fitness. Like if you are out of shape and you start going to the gym and you don't even know what you're doing, but you get your butt to the gym and you do something and you create that as a pattern, you're going to get a new result. So you're really hitting mind, body, and spirit, which is everything. and everyone is practical. And a lot of it is just very common, is that if you have an issue and you can't do it, most likely there's been thousands and thousands of other people with that same exact problem. And so some people get over it, and I was like, yeah, I was out of shape, so I went to the gym and I started jogging every day, or, I picked up a sport, or whatever the case is. So that was awesome. Great job.
Good, thank you. Let's try it.
Yeah, it's so good. So is there anything else, like, before we wrap up, that you wanted to share? Like, maybe a question, like, is there any question that you wanted me to ask, that you wanted to express? Because that was amazing. And if you've got any more, the floor is yours. It's been a real pleasure.
Not really. I just want to really share the notion that you can have, be, and do anything you want. Get out of your own way, drop all the excuses, drop the drama, and just go after your dreams. That's really my my philosophy. And I'm guessing that all my social channels and everything, you will put it somewhere for people to read.
Yeah,
they can reach me.
Yeah, that was okay. Good, concise, no bullcrap. That's kind of like the same thing. If you could do that, everything else sorts itself out. But that's a lot harder to do, right? It's really a decision and a daily process, choice by choice, day by day, to do what you just said. But that's it. It's such a powerful statement.
Well, yeah, and okay, to simplify it is, I guess, that, just, hey, what kind of life do you want? Are you happy just being mediocre and cruising along and, tiptoeing to death so you get there safely? Fine. But if you want to have that's a Bob Proctor one. But if you want to have an awesome life, then yeah, and seriously, it's not because I'm a coach that I say this. It's because of what coaching did for me and my business and my life. Get yourself a coach. Get someone that is an expert in the field of whatever it is you're struggling with, and get the help that you need. It doesn't matter, that you think you can't afford it and all of that, because that's, again, just the money is always there. When the desire is there, the money is there. So know that you are the master of your destiny. You control your life. And I know it's very, very simplistic, but you can reach out to me and ask me more questions about that. You can find me on Facebook, my name. I've got a business page, Get Your Business Noticed with Yael Rose. $1 Million Woman has a group. There's 100 ways to reach me, and I'm wired, right? So if you send me a message on Facebook, WhatsApp, text, email, I'll get it, I'll respond. If I didn't respond, that's because I didn't get it. Don't give up. Ask me, comment on one of my posts. Hey, did you get the email I sent you? And then I'll be like, no, let me check my spam, and I'll get in touch with you. So, if you feel free to contact me, ask me anything. So, yeah, that's a great idea. But what's one specific one? Do you have yaelrose.com? Is that you, or what's your specific? No, I don't have the only website I've got at the moment is bmilliondollar.com. And that's the one conference. Yeah, and that when you use the contact form, it comes to me. Perfect. And also you can email me on yaelrosecoaching@gmail.com. Yeah, feel free to email me. And that's yaelrose@gmail.com. No, coaching. So what you said, yaelrosecoaching@gmail.com. Okay, cool. Add the coaching. Well, I just want to make sure that was clear, because for those who want to do it, it's so valuable. Like, I'm going to ask you questions, and that's just one of the things that, you have somebody and respect, and they're doing something. That's how you get better. It's so simple. Like, so yeah, if you're offering that, people should be like, hey, like, ask a question. And if someone else has done it, they can help you do it faster. It's so simple. Like skateboarding, I could do a kickflip. If a kid asks me to do a kickflip, he could try all day. He can try for weeks. But if he comes to me, I'll probably get him to land it in a day. I remember actually one snowboard example. Someone's like, yeah, my goal is to land a 360 at the end of the season. I was like, do you want to land one today? He's like, what? I was like, yeah, we can land one today. And we did in like 2 hours. So it's the same with anything. Thank you so much for coming on. You've been amazing. So many good tips and experience. So I look forward to, your coming success, our future friendship. And thank you
Thank you for coming on, and thanks everybody for watching.
Thank you.
Bye.